same time, very same time. Some sugar was killing them.
Yeah, oh, you don't like this? You don't like me? Okay,
Kristine police are more concerned about what's going on around here with sick people and people in wheelchairs. Yeah, I didn't get to. I'm sure I'll hear all about it. I think it's actually online. Oh, did you? You know, I mean, these people. Half the people
we're back.
pictures.
I've never heard of about 7 minutes before we go back in. So, potty break, smoke if you got it, that kind of stuff. Set this up over here. Yeah, I'm gonna run some. Hang on, sit down. Okay.
What do you think is the essential issue? I guess there would be, well, there's all kinds of them. It's not one.
Yeah, well, they've been saying that for 20 years now. That's the problem. I would support geothermal if it was done right. But how many times did you get it done right?
Yeah. He was gassed out. Yeah. You were gassed out.
I'd love to get off for
I just got your message.
It seems like the things that I brought up at least
alright,
fixed.
So,
fixing the problem of what happens when an earthquake happens, I don't know.
I don't know, looking at India right now, I'm not sure whether or not they did it, maybe the short term.
We could get a nice little earthquake here, and then we could fly out the whole state. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
The longer you live, everyone's doing all these renewable energy projects, but none of them being picturing those decentralized, decentralized, some kind of hybrid, someplace like
Morning. Hello.
Hey, my brother. See you here. Hey, Beth. How you doing? Hey, Rob. What's up? This company, they're talking so much for the Hawaiians and everything. These guys. Aren't they seeking a percentage of what these image consultants? I'm pro geothermal, but I don't like people going to try to squeeze percentages out of the Hawaiians. Well, exactly, and through the public trust, right? Kealoha stuff. Well, these guys here, they talk about their investors. You know, they're a corporation. Sorry. These guys, I looked them up last night. They're nothing more than image consultants. And down New Zealand and the other places we've been, they did negotiate the percentages for the people, right? Big difference. What they are here is Oaha-like. I mean, Oaha is supposed to do everything they say and they can. So to me, what they're selling is buying off cultural and environmental opposition. Well, how much do you want out of it for their investors? Their investors is Hawaiians, limited to Hawaiians, or is rich guys who
Hawaiian, but Maury, see, they're taking that from there and bringing it to
the technology
and even the market just and the Maury, New Zealand,
they want to invest in Hawaii.
So they're going to
but they're seeking a percentage of the royalties, not a flat rate. So that's legitimate business, image consultants, and that. But if they seek a percentage of our royalties, then they're wrong. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? The very Oaha speaks of beneficiaries. These guys speak about the duty to the investors. Now, there's a huge difference, right?
If there's anything important, put it in the first couple paragraphs.
And I know they've done good work in all places. This is nobody.
Because I do know
absolutely. It's pretty well solved.
Nice.
I have the links for that. That's coming out of the University of UC Berkeley to the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory with the Department of Energy. That's one of them. And there's another one that's being done by Sandinista Laboratories out of Idaho. And there's a third one that I believe is being done by Massachusetts Institute of Technology. There's 3 whole different concepts that all doing the same thing. They all seem to be working. They're not commercially available yet, but what I'm trying to do is contacting them, and I want them to do a demonstration project. I'm going to try and put pressure on the county to save some money, project here, maybe they'll
borrowing, trading, giving away, or anything.
So how do they get energy from the little bit of light?
No, it's not. There's energy in space that you can't see, like frequencies that you don't see. Like there's ways, there's all kind of solar energy that hits the. I don't know if it's called solar energy, but the energy from space hits the planet 24 hours a day. It's a different live wavelength. So instead of normal solar panels, the picture I saw shows one level and collects all the stuff. So these have 3 levels. So these other wavelengths go through and they collect it on the next level. So I sent the link. If you send me a request, I'll send you a whole bunch of links.
I still have your email, so I'm going to read that Sunday.
Okay, but if you want those specific links, if you just ask me, I'll send them to you.
Oh, it's already covered.
We're going to be working on that. Oh, wow.
You gonna be here for the 1 o'clock one?
You know what that's about, right? These guys are having to work.
I know what it's called. Oh, yeah. Well, let's call it what it is.
It's disgusting. It's just
not a royalty. Who pays it? It's a tax. Why do you call it a royalty?
Right. And they're going to earn the money. They're talking all native and indigenous and everything.
Yeah. And they got it. You see, there's another one. They want a 15% for a Hawaiian homeowners. So the whole 120. Now they're trying to bring more because they're in trouble. They're trying to bring.
But we're going to win.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're getting tired.
Well, you don't want to get into this shit in Hokkaido. You're supposed to have a lot.
I was supposed to call you when you grew
I was talking with somebody.
We'd like to get some people to speak after the meeting. He's telling me, I don't know, he's acting like he don't know about that.
Testify or not? Yeah.
We got to watch out.
After they get the presentation.
After the presentation.
How we can address, that's the thing, is we can't really address what they're going to say. Basically, I'm suspicious.
And I got to do that. What these guys are doing, they're trying to figure that out. Barely told me it's not even about that's something in order. That's why
they're going to give their presentation, and there's a couple of people that, I don't know for sure, but maybe it's me and one other person, and you decide who the other person is, and based on what they say, if they sound like
Are you pretty good yourself? Great.
I'll just call these.
I'll just call you. I'm going to have my coffee. You get that much I tried to talk you into it because it's such a whole money. Just go in with
Unless you don't land tax, that's why it's a tax.
You gotta like call it. Nice to see you. Good luck. Wonderful that we're doing food basket.
Oh, yeah.
So many people that come forward, they want to be part of that.
This is my husband.
Hello, computer. Hello, folks. We're still here. Okay, I don't think I'm going to testify. On what?
Yeah, but the state-wide is a corporation.
There you go. Actually, we can
You know how to create that.
That's a really
United States really is only 13 states. The 37 are called incorporated states. They're not nation states. They're corporations, actually. You guys can turn on the speaker out here. Thanks. Oh.
Okay, I'm going to head in.
So when you learn how to...
Okay, here we go, folks. Oh my goodness. Oh, there you are. Okay, here we go.
Okay, good morning, everyone. This is the Hawaii County Council Committee on Agriculture, Water, and Energy Sustainability. Today is April 3rd, 2012. We're here in Hilo, Kona, and Pahoa, and Waimea. It's about 10:17 in the morning. I'm going to ask everyone to please turn their cell phones, pagers, and other mobile communication devices on silent mode. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I don't see the gavel. I think it's forward. Oh,
Should have brought my gavel.
Sorry for saying that you had it before. You would hit Mr. Hoffman with your luck, but that's okay. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and at this point I take statements from the public on items on the agenda. For the public's information, I did have a request by two members of the public to provide their testimony after the presentation. And so we checked with OIP, and I don't see Madam Clerk here, but I checked with our clerk, and she gave us the okay to do that. Just wanted the council members know I'm going to allow that flexibility to the members of the public, primarily because this is a presentation, it's not a resolution or a bill, and because they wanted to hear information first before commenting, rather than not knowing, and that makes complete sense to me. Any objections from council members to allow that flexibility? So basically, members of the public, whoever wants to testify at this point in time may do so. Whoever wants to wait till after the presentation, whichever one it is, can do so at that time. You just have to let our staff know.
No objection, sir.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Pelago. Okay, so anyway, with that in mind, we're going to check in with our various sites to see what testifiers there are. Mr. Clerk in Kona, any testifiers?
We have one testifier that will wait till the end of the session, sir.
Okay, thank you. Manu in Waimea. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Yoshimoto. We have no testifiers here.
Okay, thank you. And Barbara in Pahoa.
Morning, Chair Yoshimoto. We do have two testifiers this morning.
Okay, and would they like to go now or wait till after the presentations?
Yes, they'd like to go now.
Okay, we have...
So,
oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we have 16 testifiers here in Hilo. Why don't we take care of the two testifiers in Pahoa first, and then I'll make a single inquiry with the testifiers here in Hilo. So go ahead, Barbara, with your two testifiers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, we have Beth Beidelman. She's going to be commenting on communication 646 and 651.
Aloha. Testifying first on 646. I live in Leilani Estates, by the way. I'm wondering if the president of HELCO is, when he talks about recent news articles about geothermal and energy in general, if he's going to talk about some of the articles I've been reading, like one written about how magma came up below my neighborhood in a well drilled by Ormat, as reported by Green Tech Media in 2008 and in other science journals. It was the first time human beings ever accomplished this. It was reported as if it was something fabulous, although I don't understand how rational adults would think that. Another article I read yesterday was about the third worlding of the U.S. as power companies are moving into neighborhoods like mine across the country. They're drilling wells, they're fracking for gas. It's pretty much the same technology as what's envisioned here for geothermal. Apparently, it doesn't matter to a power company that lava has erupted in wells near our homes, or that the increased noise from drilling sounds like a jet engine preparing for takeoff, or that toxic fumes from underground leaks could one day kill us all. Their scheme is to build a plant over 10 times the size of what we have now, then lay an undersea cable all the way to Oahu. This boondoggle would cost ratepayers billions for decades hence, while destroying our rainforest communities and our health. Sun and wind are vastly cleaner, safer, and renewable without inundating us with lava. My husband and I have seen no rate savings from the geothermal plant below our house, but we are saving a lot from the solar hot water heater and the solar panels on our roof. Because we understand that big government right now is supporting corporate interests and pursuing power resources wherever they are, we will be collaborating with other communities to defend ourselves. We do need some help from the council now in using the geothermal royalties you've already collected. We need that money to purchase monitors that our neighborhoods control, not someone paid by ORMAT. We also need money invested in an evacuation plan that includes a safe facility for us to escape to and possibly gas masks to buy us half an hour's time until we can get to safety. So please include this in your cost analysis of geothermal. No one is even talking yet about the reality that most of us collect water off our roofs. The release of corrosive toxins when PGV was drilling years ago resulted in them having to come out and clean off some of my neighbors' roofs and catchment tanks. Think what that will cost, now that there are thousands of us living around these wells. Hello. And testifying on 651, I went on Ms. Brandt's company website. While I support that her pursuit of clean renewable energy, I support her pursuit of clean renewable energy of wave, wind, and sun, I was struck by the absence of any reference to the harm caused to people in my community when her company wrote about the history of geothermal in Puna. Her website lists major issues contributing to the downfall of geothermal in the 90s. Not one of those issues included human safety and health. The cultural needs of indigenous people are addressed, but not the harm to my neighborhood. While I understand her wanting to find a solution to the poverty of so many Hawaiians, destroying my neighborhood is hardly an economically just solution. Her company uses words like the perception that geothermal is of no benefit to Big Island residents. Well, have our rates gone down? Don't we still pay the highest rate of all Hawaiian residents? Last year, my yard in Leilani won the top landscaping award for a private homeowner through the Betty Crocker Foundation supported by Scenic Hawaii. I believe my yard won because it preserved the native hapu'u, ohias, and kapikos. So you have one group of Hawaiians saying we should preserve the beauty of my community, while another sets out to obliterate its beauty by geothermal well drilling. What is wrong with this picture? I have been told by volcanologists and community planners that where I live is too dangerous to live. And yet you are planning to invest millions, billions, if the undersea pipeline scheme goes through in our volatile neighborhood. One volcanologist at a public meeting told me when she heard I live in Leilani, move out. People sitting on the PCGP, not you, John, steering committee, actually wanted to prevent people in our Lava Hazard Zone 1 communities from living there by cutting off our homeowners insurance and preventing us from obtaining home mortgages. I noticed there was no concern about the loss of the investments that we had already made. All of us on this island, regardless of our Lava Zone designation, exist here under Pele's good graces. But to imply that natural hazards beyond human control are the same thing as humans intentionally drilling wells in Pele's belly and bringing up lava is fallacious reasoning. All the King's volcanologists and all the bulldozers on the Big Island could not stop Kapoho from being destroyed over 50 years ago, or Kalapana more recently. But each of you can prevent my Leilani community and other communities from being destroyed by lava inundation from Ormat's wells or toxic leaks that poison us and our rainforest. Mahalo.
Thank you for your testimony. Barbara, your next testifier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our next testifier is Clark Robinson, and he's speaking in opposition to Communication 646.
Good morning, council members. Good morning. I don't see where there's any debate on this. I'm wondering if the president of HELCO is going to touch upon the religious aspects of this. To the Hawaiians, their creator is in every blade of grass, every tree, and every bug. And to drill out there is to defile their temple. There's the Constitution of the United States and the state constitution. The First Amendment talks about the freedom of religion and protecting those rights. And by drilling and defiling the Hawaiians temple, it's counter to the Constitution, and I just don't understand how they can go through with this. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Barbara, any other testifiers?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Okay, here in Hilo we have approximately 21 testifiers. I'm basically going to call your name, and if you wanted to come forward now, that's fine. If you wanted to wait till after the presentation, that's fine too, but please let me know. So the first testifier signed up is R.J. Hampton. Ms. Hampton, did you want to come?
Yeah, I'm going to come now in case my blood pressure starts to rise up. Calm right now.
Okay. Thank you, RJ. So RJ will be testifying on communication 646 and 651, representing herself.
Yes, I will represent. Nobody's ever going to follow me.
Good morning, RJ.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Council. I'm R.J. Hampton, and I'm here to comment on the two things that are on the agenda. Know who Jay is. And I can respect the fact that he's been working for HELCO for 17 years, and he's going to come here today and explain to us their position. I know also that he's a disciple of the building department, Warren Lee. He took his place, so we got the next generation coming in to talk to us. What generation am I talking about? I'm talking about the contaminators of all time. And HELCO is on that list as far as I'm concerned. We know that HELCO is motivated by necessity. We all are. And this whole idea of pricing and the whole idea of evaluating the resources, you know, I'm talking to Kuulei Cooper Springer, and she used the word aha moku. And I said, qu'est-ce que c'est? What is aha moku? And she began to explain to me something about the voice of the people and about the people managing their own resources. I learned in the mental health field at the time of absolute certainty never comes. You have to make a decision, especially when a client is all crazy and is sitting there and needs help. And I see that as the way everybody's moving. HELCO has a sense of urgency to maintain its profit margin. We have a sense of urgency to protect our properties and our health. Somewhere along the line, I know that our protection is vested in you. That whatever legislation that you put forward, it's not the administration, it's you. You have the final say. Whatever HELCO wants, it's nice they want it. People in hell want ice water, but they can't get it. All I'm saying to you now is that as we watch this presentation, understand that they're going to tell us why when you conserve or you get into sustainability, that they have to raise their prices and pass it off to other customers. So go ahead and conserve, but we're going to maintain our profit margin. And if we can't do that, we've got to drill more wells. I don't see that as sustainable. I don't see it as something that I want to see until 2025. I think that there are other ways to do this. I think that we have an ocean. I think that we have a notion that is has some of the roughest waters, so we can begin to look at wave motors. And that I'll say about that. Just be aware of what Mr. J is saying and how that might fall into place with all else we're suffering. Now on to Ms. Pat. I shot a video of the next one that's going to make a presentation to you. I guess you would call it the indigenous people's ideas about how to manage their resources, and I think it would behoove you to really listen to them and to follow. For I do believe success does leave clues. And if we do have to dig all these holes so that Honolulu and Maui can maintain their sense of being, like Los Angeles has to maintain its sense of water, even though it's coming from Tehachapi in the north, and they're in the desert. Resources. Do not squander our opportunities. Take your time. I'll be dead probably by the time they get it all online and all built. Most of us in here, you look at the age group that's talking to you. I would prefer to see this room full of teenagers and struggling families talking about their energy bills and what Mr. Ignacio has in mind for low income and how they all going to work together. So hopefully we'll hear him talk about how they're going to share after 100 and some odd years of profiting off the blood and sweat of the people on this island. Other than that, I say that the people that are going to be speaking to you second is what you need to hear, because they've gone other places and they've been able to talk about all of the advantages. Yeah, we left out some things, or they might have left out some things, but so did HELCO, and they're learning, and so is this other group. So I would hope that everybody would try and make the battle cry aha moku, and that the voice of the people in managing the resources will stay with us and all the people out here, and that the trust that you have in terms of writing legislation, remember, I read it in the charter, you're the one to write legislation. The administration may want everything in the world, but it is you. You are our only buffer. So, that's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Archie. Okay. Mr. Gaudier, light on. Thank you. Our next testifier is Aurora Martinovich. Hi. Okay. Thank you. Ms. Martinovich will be testifying on both communications 646 and 651. You have 3 minutes, representing the Lanipuna Gardens neighborhood families, as well as Alicia, Viola.
My daughter.
Your daughter. Okay.
My understanding was that because I'm testifying on all three, that I would get 6, and because I'm testifying for my daughter, who is, I don't have to go to school because of the change of time, I'd like an additional 6 minutes. A requested being that I am Aurora Martinovich. I've lived in Lanipuna Gardens for 26 years. My property boundaries PGV, and right now is about 1,500 feet below PGV's drill rig on Pu'uhonua Ula. I live on 133997 Pu'uhonua Ula Road. Thank you. I concur with the speaker before me. I'm going to make an assumption that the people behind me are going to speak on how geothermal is a clean and safe and renewable energy. I've lived with HGPA, the first 3 megawatt state experimental plant, and I've lived with PGV from its birth. I know this plant, every burp, every fart, every sound it makes. I know when turbines are turned off and on. I know this thing like the back of my hand, probably as well, if not better than every worker who works there, because I'm probably the longest person who's been with this plant. So what I tell you is the truth. I'm going to talk about clean, how clean geothermal is. I gave you guys a packet. I'm going to read to you, and you understand that this is what this community has been exposed to. In the steam, it is not steam like out of a teapot. It contains benzene, ammonium, arsenic, lead, cadmium, bicarbonate and carbonates, sulfides, chlorides, nitrates, boron, hydrogen sulfide, fluorides, mercury, total dissolved solids, total suspended solids, beryllium, asbestos, vinyl chloride, radon, radionuclides, gross and alpha and beta. The brine, which is re-injected, contains the same. Then the non-condensable gases, which I can guarantee to you, and I would show it to you. I could take you to the plant and show to you these non-condensable gases are released 24 hours a day. They go through a thing called a sulfatry that is basically carbon that absorbs the smell, but we are exposed to it 24 hours a day. They contain benzene, hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, mercury vapor, methane, non-methane hydrocarbons, vinyl chloride, carbon dioxide, arsenic, beryllium, asbestos, radon, radionuclides, gross alpha and beta. We are exposed to this 24 hours a day. Right now, there is a drill rig that's on Pu'uhonua Ula. It is at the highest point in our area. Know that these gases, many of them are heavier than air. That means Kapoho, Nanavali, Leilani Estates, Pohoiki, that whole area is downwind of this present power plant. I'm sure these people behind you are going to tell you that they're going to do things all better and all good and all wonderful. that this present administration, the administration before this one, has not cared for the people in the area whatsoever. Every monitor is on a hill, so there's guarantee it will not pick up what we are exposed to. Unless we can clean up the mess that exists now, I'm asking you, I am pleading with you, don't allow any more geothermal in Puna until we can address the ineptitude of our present government. I applied for relocation 4 years and 1 month ago. Every other person relocated, they have 60 days for the county to send out an appraiser. They were relocated within 9 months. I don't understand the reason why, perhaps, whatever, we won't even go there. But the monitoring, Department of Health had one monitor in our neighborhood, the only one that wasn't on a hill, it was removed. So what we're looking at is increased geothermal when we have less monitoring right now. We have no protection for the health and safety of our community. When the blowout happened in '91, the state shut down all geothermal development and brought out experts. I have all those reports. There are 4 of them this thick. One of them was for a Puna air monitoring program that would put together PGV, Department of Health, and community monitoring. That is yet to be done. There should be no other geothermal allowed until at least we have the recommendations from the experts when there was a blowout and a kickout. The reality is, right now, I'm on day 45 without sleep. I have never been pushed so far in my life to exhaustion. They have drilled 24 hours a day. The county planning gave the permit. These power plants are to last approximately 30 years. They can drill as many wells as they want. They're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they say will be 45 days. Well, right now I'm at 45 days of no sleep. I sleep during the day, and that messes up my work schedule. It's an impossibility to put this on the shoulders of the people. PGV is only at 2,000 feet. They're planning on going to 6,000. So they're saying 45 days, that's not realistic whatsoever. Now these people behind me are going to tell you, well, we need to have this. It's going to save us energy. It's going to save us oil. Bull. Unless we stop the transportation of people and goods via airplanes, all the oil we bring in here is for refinement, for jet fuel. What we run, what HELCO runs at their plants is the leftover sludge. Now they may not burn a little less oil, but it will in no way stop the importation of oil. So don't believe that crap. Not whatsoever. Understand that on November 8th of this year, of last year, lightning struck the PGV power plant. Mike Kalakini, a very decent human being, and he's probably the only reason we're still alive, because he's done everything possible to make that plant safe, what he can within his purview. Struck that plant. They had to shut in the wells. We had to evacuate till 11 o'clock that night. Those wells there are over 10 years old. Every time a well is shut in, the casing gets stressed because that 880,000 pounds per hour can no longer go through the plant. Those wells underneath the plant are shot. I could hear when they started that plant again that it is hollow. They weren't running at full capacity. It's venting underground as we speak. My animals are sick, my neighbors are sick, and I am sick. Know that they put up this new drill rig because it's all their steam is going underground and coming up and exposing us. I hear that. I'll wrap this up. Puna Geothermal Venture makes a profit margin of over $2 million a month. Right now, they're not running at 30 megawatts. They're running at 17 megawatts. So every time there's a natural disaster, lightning strike, East Rift Zone, we, the people, have to take it. And it's not fair. Clean up the geothermal mess that exists now before it goes any farther. If you entertain any more of this. On the back of the things I gave you, I have my email. It's only this candidacy have I had any county council people even come and ask me information. I'm open to anybody asking me questions anytime. I'll take you a tour around the area and let you learn more. I've had 26 years of first-hand on-the-ground experience, and I would welcome any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. testifier. Our next testifier is Lawrence Pedro. Mr. Pedro. No. Okay. You're going to go afterwards? Yes. Okay. Our next testifier is Wolf Daniel Braun. Mr. Braun, I think I saw you. You want to come forward now or after?
No.
No? Okay. After Mr. Braun is Kristine Kubat.
All right, thank you very much for letting me speak. In abstract, I favor geothermal as an energy source. Some of my concerns are, first, I don't trust corporate America. I don't trust them to keep our safety in the forefront. I trust them to keep profits in the forefront. That's the nature of corporate America. HELCO was complaining that they had to raise rates because too many people were switching to solar and they were losing money. And then shortly after that, there was an article in the paper about them having a record year for profits. And their chief executive officer earns a salary of $6.5 million a year. That seems to me an outrageous, egregious violation of, yes, $6.5 million, there is proof, a year. Now, I don't earn that kind of money. I'm on Social Security. I don't think anybody here earns that kind of money. What does she do that's worth $6.5 million a year? What does any corporate executive earning that kind of money do to earn that kind of money? With the fact that keeping profits up and safety is not a major concern, I just don't trust the corporations that are doing this to do it right, to do it with total safety. I don't know if it can be done with total safety. We're dealing with an incredibly volatile substance here, a volcano. People can't control a volcano. Anyway, that's my testimony. I ask you to use caution, to consider the presentation that's given you, and I agree with the last speaker. Please clean up the current geothermal venture. Make sure there is monitoring where it will count at the lower levels, because these gases do drop. They're heavier than air, so they'll collect in the lower spots. Is that 3 minutes already?
It's 2.5, you have 30 seconds.
Well, I'm speaking on both.
Oh, yeah. You
So I have a total of 6 minutes.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next topic.
The next topic. Power belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to the corporations. Now, I understand that in order to develop a project like geothermal, it takes quite a bit of money to develop it, the investment in it. And I certainly think that the people who are developing it are entitled to a reasonable return on their investment. But with Hawaiians paying the highest power rates, power should be a public utility. Power belongs to the people. Let's not increase our expenses to buy power that we already own. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Braun. Okay, our next testifier is Kristine Kubat. It should be followed by Mr. Hyson, who will then be followed by Kuulei Cooper.
Aloha, thank you for allowing me to testify. I would also like to ask for 6 minutes. Is that okay?
You're testifying on both items?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I have an interesting perspective to offer. Over 20 years ago, I started out as an anti-geothermal activist, And I'm coming before you today as a geothermal developer. I don't think there's anyone else in this room that's made that same trajectory path as I have. So in between there, after being an activist, I spent off and on over a 16-year period serving on HELCO's Citizens Advisory Group. So I think I really have a lot to offer, and I would be willing to come back other times to talk to folks and share. Anyway, so what I've learned in that process is that we can get off oil in Hawaii, and geothermal would be a part of that. But it all depends on the model that we use. So this shift from being against geothermal to being a developer happened just recently as a part of the geothermal working group meetings that were held with Richard Ha and his group. And the first thing that I want to testify on is the failure of that process and why it failed. And Richard Ha is a very great person. I really like him. I have a lot of respect for him. But the growing opposition that you're seeing now and the trouble that we find ourselves in right now is a direct result of the way that process was organized. There was not one single person on that geothermal advisory group that was from the community. They were not allowed to be on that group. I no longer live in Puna, but I did my best to be a part of that group. I was not allowed. I will give Richard credit in that he allowed people to come and participate, that it was an open process, and that you could speak, but it was limited the amount of participation that you had. Then the next thing that happened, okay, the group got up, they were active, they were involved, and then in November there was a meeting. Shortly after that, Richard Ha got involved with this Kuulei Cooper group, and then boom, no meetings for 9 months, not one single meeting. During that time, I think it's pretty easy for you to track, you know, what Richard was doing, what he was up to. He was the person that organized these meetings, so it was pretty much up to him whether it met or not. He was pursuing this opportunity with Kuulei Cooper. I think he should have resigned as soon as he made a decision to be part of that venture. His chairmanship of the geothermal working group, someone else should have been allowed to step in. But there was a whole 9-month period where all of these issues, the things that Aurora is talking about, you know, this monitoring regime, the fact that there's no evacuation plan, what model is the state going to pursue, how are they going to support this? There was absolutely no discussion about any of that because the geothermal working group didn't meet for a full 9 months. And that is just inexcusable. I think when they talk about cleaning up the mess, I think what you need to do is reconvene this geothermal working group, and there has to be community people on it. Okay, now when we're talking about the model that would be used. The company that I represent, we're called Local Power. We have the license for a new technology. It's an advanced geothermal technology. It doesn't use the steam. It just goes down into the ground. It uses the heat. Whether or not that's culturally appropriate is not for me to say. That's where we need to trust people like Pohoiki Deadman, the Native Hawaiian folks. If they say it's not, it's not. If they say it is, or there's division, some people want to try it, other people don't, well, there we are. If we're going forward with this idea that we're going to do geothermal, we're going to do it right, I'm telling you, this is the technology. Maybe it's not exactly our company, but this kind of passive technology where the device sits in the ground and just picks up the heat and doesn't bring up the steam, it's the way to go. The other reason it's the way to go is because you don't need big money to make it happen. The scheme that Kuulei Cooper is onto with big, huge development in Puna, as much as 2,000 megawatts, they're talking about developing these ammonium plants. They're going out promoting this idea of using geothermal to create ammonium and ship it around the island as an energy storage for geothermal or for energy. And they never once went to the Puna community and said, would you like to have ammonium plants in your community? What does it look like? What does it smell like? What is it like to live next to one of these things? They never did that, not once. That's completely wrong. I mean, you know, the idea is we're doing it better this time. It's not being done better this time. It's the exact same thing they did last time, where you have a group of people, insiders with vested monetary interests, who are saying what the model is going to be and pushing it at all costs. It's absolutely wrong, and the only people really in this county that can do anything to stop that is the people that I'm talking to right now. You could get active. You could make sure that this happens in a good way. The technology that we have is a perfect match for community-based economic development. Yeah, this is the one thing that I learned by now being a developer, is this whole thing is being pushed in a way that benefits big money. Big money is like Wall Street investors. They don't want a small power plant. They don't want solar installations. They want these $100, $200 million power plants that they can fund. They want a big, huge billion-dollar cable. They love that stuff. What are they going to do? They're going to stick their money in. They're going to turn around. They're going to give it out and dump the whole thing on the ratepayers. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're being corralled into. This technology that we have, small scale, can be funded by Bank of Hawaii. This the state bank that is being talked about now through small energy cooperatives. The community could own it. It's a 7-year commitment. If after 7 years they don't like it, they could just shut it down. I mean, we have lots of options. But right now, what the county needs to do is to ask to have the geothermal working group reconvened. It should be community-oriented, and we should start to promote models that are community-based. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Okay, Mr. Heisen, did you want to?
I'm going to testify
afterwards. Okay, thank you, Mr. Heisen. Ms. Cooper, Kuulei. Ms. Cooper will be testifying on both communications 646 and 651.
Good morning.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm good?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. I ask for your patience. I'm not used to public speaking, with this issue being of great importance to our community as a whole, not just Puna, but our Hawaii County. I feel it necessary that I share my personal opinion and what I've been taught over the years for generations. My family is the Kealoha family that owns 510 acres down in Pohoiki, less 2.7 due to the bypass road, and our property sits in the 95% production area via the state geothermal the geothermal map. My grandfather was Jimmy Kealoha, who was county chairman here for many, many years prior to us becoming a state, and I was fortunate enough to be the first mo'opuna, which is the punahele of the family, and taken under his wing to be trained to become trustee. 29 years he has been gone, and I will share with you today his teachings. Excuse my back, pardon me. My grandfather traveled to New Zealand in the late 1950s because he believed firmly geothermal would be the way of the future. And we talked about it at great length with my Auntie Emma DeFries, who was part of those who trained and raised us. She was a kahuna nui for Hawaiian people. I've also been very fortunate to be taught by my grandmother, who was a teacher at Kealoha School for over 40 years. In fact, some of our engineers still remember her stern raising the finger being pointed at them. But her name, Mulan Pele Kumu Young Kealoha, is of the line of Tutu Pele. In addition to that, we were very blessed to have Auntie Leilani as part of our ohana, who trained us. And I refused to play with the kids when we were keiki. I'd sit with my papa, my tutu, and Auntie Leilani on the shores of Napopo'o when she lived there. And she was the curator of the Hulehe'e Palace. None of these people who have trained me have ever said that it was disrespectful to Tutu Pele or to our culture. And this is one important point that I would like to make as a proud Hawaiian and also a very proud American. My grandfather, when he became lieutenant governor, said we must learn the Western way. And I have studied since his passing writings by Nana Viri, Change We Must. We all must change with the times, and we are in a very critical time. My position is, as I believe, the largest landowner in the Pohoiki area, private landowner, we're not Bishop Estate. But I must share with you, we have not signed any long-term drilling or lease with any developer. I have 7 of them on my desk. I choose wisely in life, prudently, hopefully, and with guidance from my akua and my kupuna. I believe that we all here in the county of Hawaii need to give great consideration to what will happen in the future, because we know that geothermal is coming. I choose, in my capacity, to deliver the message of my papa for our property. I'm only one person, but I maintain my papa's integrity and his legacy without being a sellout. I've turned away many developers over the years when they wanted to do resorts in our properties. We've had many proposals to sell, and I wouldn't be sitting here today if my family had their way. We would have sold. But I stand firm, and I stand before you today and share with you only my opinion. We cannot be penalized as we go further and forward should geothermal be the way of choice of our state, our government, and ourselves. We cannot be penalized for how geothermal was handed to us in the past. Times have changed. My first pink hard hat tour of the geothermal plant way back when with Papa Lyman gave me great insight. My concerns are of the same with these people who are not for geothermal. Their health issues are of grave concern. We won't even discuss the highest electric rates in the nation. I'll allow Mr. Ignacio to respond to that, and hopefully we can come to some common ground in order for my children and my mo'opuna not to be paying the highest rate in the nation, because we do have a gift. That is how I have been raised, that Tutupele would take care of her people. And I, as a Hawaiian, will speak for my family. Not all Hawaiians, because we do have even people in our family that differ in opinion. We are all entitled to our opinion. I merely wanted to share with you mine, and I firmly believe Tutupele never needed a lawyer or a counselor. She will take care of herself and her people. If she doesn't like it, she will take it. And I trust that you and those other elected officials in our state level and our federal government will realize the plight of these people and our community who do live near the plants existing. The technology is very old. Biggest is not always best. Cookie cutter technology does not work for Hawaii. We as Hawaiians own this resource, and we hope to have a voice as we go forward. I fully support geothermal because I'm a messenger from my grandfather's vision. It is a gift, and I thank you for your time, and I trust that all of us together will find common ground as we go forward. And yes, ahamoku is the way we participate in what happens heretofore. We held a community meeting December 2010 after the county council passed a resolution, you kind people passed a resolution to propose a park on our property for the keiki. I don't know if you recall, but we held a community meeting at that time because that is the ahamoku style. We ask our community first what they want. Summarize. Is that 30 seconds? Okay, thank you. See, I'm not used to this. In closing, we had over 400 responses. We put out a questionnaire with frankly loaded questions. Are you for geothermal? Are you for solar? What would you like to see in this area? Etc. Over 400 responses, which is available on our website, kealohaestate.com. I've learned to come into the new world, and I have a genius nephew who's helped me put together Kealoha Estate website. Over 400 responses were in favor of geothermal, if it's done properly. So I thank you for your time again, and please feel free to contact me at any time if there's any further information you need. Much aloha to you all, and thank you for your hard efforts.
Thank you. Okay, our next, I'm going to call our next two testifiers, George Greywolf Clare and Danny Lee. If you can please both come forward to the table. They'll be followed by Dwight Vicente and Robert Patrici.
Morning. Good morning, Council. Morning, Committee. I've been here a lot of times speaking. My name is George Greywolf Clare. I'm a grandfather. I'm a credentialed school teacher. I've taught at many different levels, and I'm a retired farmer now. And also, I am a recuperating person, having visited the disease of cancer. And every time I come here, I speak expecting understanding and some kind of dialogue. And I'm beginning to feel like the public out here is just being used. Because there is a separate reality of law and order that doesn't belong on earth, and it's called corporatism. Corporatism is an idea of a society based on legislative entities, artificial entities, and all of us that receive and have any communication with these artificial entities have been given an identity also of an artificial entity. And it is our name spelled in capital letters. And it belongs to the UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, of what they believe human nature is about. I believe we are all earthlings, but we're living here like we're aliens. And this is what 2012 is all about. There are laws of the planet to be planetary. We must observe them, or we will be evicted. Civilization right now is in a very deep, deep conflict with Mother Earth. We wanted to extract this energy. We, the people, have been given power. The reason why we are who we are on the food chain is because we can adapt. Why are we trying to adapt the earth to our desire? We should be adapting our nature to what the earth needs. If we were given a role to be keepers of the earth, or if we were having any kind of dominion. Right now we have nuclear generators that have been sold to us and sold to all of the people of the earth. America is selling this stuff, and then we're bombing people who want it. And we're the only people that have used it against other people. This is not a good record. Why are we making war today? So that our grocery stores will work. Go to the store, our money will work. That's it. So it's time for us to really make a change here. I would go to the dump, and I see $1 million dump out there, and I see so much garbage. I know there has to be an energy glut on this planet to create that much garbage. This is not an indigenous way to live on the earth, and it cannot be done much longer. To go ahead with this kind of industrial design, to create a society that does not belong here, we've got to change. We've got to come back down. Listen, it was people that created a government. It was a government that created corporations. Why is corporations now telling us we have no power? And that's what they're telling us. They're telling us what used to be our sovereign power is now a privilege. My foot has turned into a driver's license that's branded to me by collective authority, and it can be taken away from me by collective authority. We've got to put people and human nature back and common sense back. We cannot go any further with this separate reality. Now, I don't know, but I was here when this, when you guys start the meetings, and we all like to salute to the ideals that we uphold. And so I see a minister say a prayer, and then I see you all get up and say a pledge of allegiance to something outside of this room. That flag is a fringe flag. It's corporate. It is not the Republic, folks. The Republic is a different flag. Now, that flag used to be in the courtroom, but it was taken out because of the protest, because the protest was correct. I would like to see you guys be representatives of the republic, not corporatism. I have spoken very little about the actual damages of the industrial technology that's being used to create the energy of the earth right now. It requires war. It requires us to kill innocents. This isn't going any further. This picture doesn't produce good grandchildren. So when you vote and consider these kinds of things, we cannot maintain this kind of growth any longer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clare. Okay, our next testifier is Danny Lee. I thought I saw him here earlier. I don't see him now. We'll come back to him. Mr. Vicente, I saw him earlier too. There's Mr. Vicente, and he'll be followed by Robert Patrici. Okay, so then they'll be followed by Jim McRae. Good morning, Mr. Vicente. You'll be testifying on both communications, 646 and 651.
Morning, my name is Dwight Vicente. I'm representing the Hawaiian Kingdom. When it comes to mineral rights, we're in the Hawaiian Kingdom. It's the Hawaiian Kingdom's jurisdiction to deal with mineral rights, land rights, indigenous rights. Anything to do with rights, it was transferred to the Hawaiian Kingdom to deal with. I noticed there's one about indigenous rights. Hawaiians are no longer just plain old indigenous. They belong to a government they call the Hawaiian Kingdom. So you just can't leave that word out there like we're just wild savages out there, uncivilized. So, and I noticed they got pricing now. Federal Reserve notes is rubbish. Hawaiian Kingdom is gold. U.S. Constitution required gold and silver, not a wordless instrument like the Federal Reserve notes. So if any business is to be done in this kingdom, it should have the blessing of the kingdom. Land title, anything, even including immigration and naturalization. A lot of the problem we have today is because we have a large portion of illegal aliens here right now who is here without a treaty, who has not been naturalized to the kingdom. A lot of pretending, what I usually call wannabe U.S. citizens. If you want to be U.S. citizens, there's 13 states to choose from. You can fly over, take a boat, be naturalized to one of the 13 states. But not here. We're in the Hawaiian Kingdom. It's been that way forever. Northwest Ordinance of 1787 gave the United States no jurisdiction to conduct business here from 1887 till present day. It's a fraud. We're not in Washington, D.C. The venue for the Northwest Ordinance is in D.C., not here. We're in the jurisdiction of Hawaiian Kingdom, under the jurisdiction of the 13 United States. So at this time I will cut it. I will reserve the rights of this kingdom under the Queen's Protest of January 17, 1893 against U.S. Minister Stevens, which gives original but limited jurisdiction only over the U.S. Minister, not over the kingdom. U.S. courts has no jurisdiction over the Hawaiian Kingdom. Only the 13 states and D.C. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vicente. Okay, our next testifier is Jim McRae, and he'll be followed by Jim Albertini. If that's both to come to the table. Afterwards, okay, thank you, Mr. McRae. So Mr. Albertini is on his way to the table. He'll be followed by John Olson. Mr. Olson, do you want to come forward now? Or I thought I saw, oh, there he is. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Albertini.
I'd like to testify on both points, and I just have a brief point on both. First of all, I'm a 32-year resident in Puna, and our farm, Malu Aina, was the hub for the Big Island Rainforest Action Group, which was involved with the Pele Defense Fund in years of struggle against geothermal in Puna. So I have a lot of background on this. The 2 points I want to make. First, on just the HELCO side of things, the PGV side, is that in the early days of PGV, ORMAT, 20 plus years ago, a worst case scenario described a large earthquake shearing off all the wells resulting in uncontrolled venting and a permanent evacuation zone, a 4-mile radius, 8-mile diameter of the plant. PGV's liability insurance policy then was $20 million. I just confirmed Saturday night that their present liability policy is now $25 million. When in effect, the impacts could have been hundreds of millions of dollars back then, and perhaps billions today. Now, a key question for this council to consider is why would government, this county or the state, why wouldn't the government, county or the state, require liability insurance for the full potential damage that may result from the worst case geothermal accident scenario? Who's going to be left holding the bag? The taxpayers? Because the geothermal profiteers pocket the profits, but when things go wrong, just like at the Wall Street bankers, it's the taxpayers that end up feeling the brunt of this. It's the same old story. Privatize the profits, socialize the cost. And one final point. Ormat is an Israeli company. This county should be boycotting doing business with Ormat as part of the global campaign against Israel's apartheid treatment of Palestinians. Now to the issue of the spiritual concerns of the Hawaiian people, the impacts. We all know in Hawaiian religion, Pele is a deity. There are people who practice the Pele religion. Pele practitioners view drilling into Pele as sacrilegious, desecration. I have heard Pele practitioners say that Pele is not for sale. How do you mitigate violating the host people of Hawaii's religious belief? How do you make a people's religious desecration right? What are the rights of the Pele practitioners today? And how many Pele practitioners are there in Hawaii? What have been the discussions with them over geothermal? What studies have been done on the impacts to Hawaiian religious beliefs, traditions, and customary practices? Is not geothermal energy drilling and energy production a violation of Hawaiian religious rights? Is it not a violation of the Hawaii State Constitution, Article 12, Section 7, that protects traditional and customary practices? Is it not a violation of the First Amendment of the United States to desecrate the Hawaiian deity Pele? The First Amendment and the U.S. Bill of Rights intent is to protect the minority from the tyranny of the majority. I support Pele practitioners. I do not want to be part of violating Hawaiian religion and culture. We who are not Hawaiian have a moral obligation to stand up in solidarity with our Hawaiian sisters and brothers when their rights are being violated. An injury to one is an injury to all. Mahalo.
Thanks, Mr. Albertini. We are next testifier, Mr. Olson, and he will be followed by Corey Harding. I guess Ms. Harding can come to the table. Mr. Olson, you're testifying on both